What's up, Victoria? It's Victoria, and we are back to put some makeup on my face. Traditionally, after Critical Sass, I will do a thing that I call the After Sass, where I look at the new makeup releases, and then I look at my makeup collection, and then I try to do a full face of makeup based off the new makeup releases. But if you recall, if you watch Critical Sass, I didn't really have a lot to talk about, and I wasn't very tempted by a lot of stuff. I got a lot of PR right when my skin started flaring up really badly. I have a lot to show you. I also bought a couple things. It's like a big haul to do, but we'll start with what happened with my skin and then we will get into product. But there will be timestamps down below in case you don't care about the skin stuff. I would get that, so you can skip if you'd like. I'm gonna prep my lips real quick with the Edam Le Chou Chou Balm in Boba Bounce. I haven't done this in a minute, everyone forgive me. I forgot all the rules. I don't know what I'm doing. So if you have watched my last couple weeks of videos, you'll know that my skin's been kind of freaking out, both on my face, but also on my hands. So every spring when my allergies get pretty bad, I get eczema on my hands. I think that the type that I have is called dyshydrosis, and it's these little pustules that get very itchy, and when they break, it's super painful, and it just leaves your hands feeling raw, and it can get to the point where when you move your hands, it starts to hurt. Normally I get the little pustules, and normally I kind of get it in between my fingers, and sometimes I'll get a little bit on the palm of my hands, but not usually. But this year, I was getting a really bad breakout, specifically on my right hand, but it was also worse on my left hand as well, and it was getting to the point where I was I need to go to the doctor, or if I can't figure this out, because it was so bad. So bad. But I figured it out. So the one night I was laying in bed and I was holding my phone. You may remember that I showed off a new phone case in a couple of videos ago. And I also was holding this phone case in the most recent Critical Sass. It's the silicone phone case from Bili Hikawa. And I don't think it's a silicone, but we'll break it down. How I figured it out was I was picking up my phone, I was using my phone that evening, and I realized that the most active part of my breakout was where the phone case was hitting my hand. So there's very specific contours to this, and so basically everywhere that pressed on my hand was the part that had the worst eczema breakout. I wonder if I'm allergic to silicone. So I go on a deep dive, just kind of trying to figure out if people are allergic to silicone. Silicone is often used because it's pretty hypoallergenic. There are people who are allergic to silicone. It seems very rare. And I was I've used silicone products on my face. I've used silicone other things and that have had direct contact with my skin, and I've never had issues with it before. I was on the dyshydrosis subreddit, and I read in a couple of threads that people who have used silicone phone cases realized that it was agitating their eczema. Basically, the general consensus is, from people who are in the dyshydrosis subreddit, is that anything that you have to touch for an extended period of time, like a steering wheel or your phone case, if you hold your phone case a lot, but anything you have to hold or make direct contact with your hands for a long period of time, when your allergens are airborne allergens, like pollen, things like that, they get stuck to stuff. So your steering wheel and your phone case. So I'm allergic to pollen, and my phone, I take it with me everywhere. And so it's been outside, it's been in places. And what I think is happening is that there's just a buildup of debris on the back of the silicone that was basically directly getting jammed into my hand. And my hand just freaked out, which makes a lot of sense because it was really bad. It was getting to the point where I almost couldn't really bend my hand, do this comfortably, make a fist comfortably, because it was all in this area. So it's still healing. This is where we're at right now, but my hand isn't itchy anymore, and I have no real active breakouts of eczema. It's all just kind of healing. So it's a little itchy only because of the dead skin, the cell turnover, it's making my skin itchy. So that's the only thing that's really going on right now. So I'm going to tell you what I did. I'm not a doctor. Of course, I'm not a doctor. So take what I say with a grain of salt. And some people have very specific beliefs about what should and shouldn't be used to treat their eczema. I use a topical steroid because my hands were in so much pain. And after I used the topical steroid was when I realized that the phone case was probably the biggest culprit. I took the phone case off my phone. I'm not using it anymore. I have a hard phone case coming in, and my plan is to wipe it down every day after, make it part of my ritual to wipe it down at the end of every day. I don't know what I can wipe silicone with that I feel will get it all off. Otherwise, I would keep using that phone case because I really loved that phone case. The phone case brought me a lot of joy. I loved it a lot. However, I don't want to risk my hand breaking out again. So I've been just using the phone a bare phone. My hand has been obviously healing. So as soon as my hand made it 8 hours without being itchy and it didn't seem like I had active breakouts, I stopped using the topical steroid. You know your body the best. Whether or not you want to use steroids is absolutely up to you to treat your eczema. It just really helped me get along the way when I also figured out what the cause was. That's what's going on with my hands. Now, as far as my face goes, my face is still breaking out quite badly, and I haven't figured that out yet, but I do think it might be in response to the intense breakout on my hand. There was a point where my face was also very itchy with a rash as well as acne, but now it seems to just be the acne. So right now I'm using benzoyl peroxide, and I haven't used retinol in a while, if you may recall. So I'm giving adapalene a try. So I'll report back. But as far as this, I think this is still a work in progress, but the itchy, hivey things that were on my face are gone. I think it was from holding my phone case and then touching my face, which was causing that. So like, that's where we are. But I put on makeup last night for the first time, and my skin didn't react. Like, I don't think I have more pimples. My skin got a little bit agitated, I think, from the makeup. Not in a way that I feel uncomfortable putting on makeup, but I'm probably gonna have to wait a while to like wear test stuff. We're back a little bit. I want to make videos again. So we're here. This is from my friend Andromeda. I think that they get HUDA PR. And so sometimes they get an excess or stuff that they won't use, and they'll pass some of it my way. And I think that's what this is. So this is the Easy Blur Primer. And they were raving to me in our text messages about how good they think this is. You know me, I love a blur primer. Silicone-Free blurring smoothing primer made in South Korea. Oh, cool. Let's see. I'm going to apply it with a brush. I am trying to keep as much product as I can off of my hands besides like soap and moisturizing them. I'm trying not to like use my hands too much to apply things. Whoa. Okay. So that is what it looks like. It's like this sheer purple. I don't smell anything. I smell my hand lotion, but I don't smell this. The color is pretty sick. I like that purple color. Like, I don't think it's going to do anything. Like, I don't think it's going to provide anything. And I'm going to put it on half of my face and we'll just see what it does. Yeah, I think it did a little bit of blurring. I think you can definitely tell on my face, like what side I put primer on or what side I did it, besides it being like a little bit glossy. Like there's certainly like a little bit of skin enhancing. I feel like it's plumping a little bit. As far as like the amount of blur it's providing for me, I don't feel like it's providing like a ton of blur. I've tried blurrier. But as far as like a primer, it's not super sticky. I don't know. It's weird because if there's no silicone in it, they definitely have something that's very like similar to silicone in it because it just has that feeling to it, which I know some people I've heard tell that like they don't like that feeling. So if you don't like that feeling, I don't know that this would be a primer for you to try. It didn't change my life. Like I'm not wearing the fashion changing my life. Definitely, we'll see how things play over top of it. I like it enough. Like I would definitely play with this again. A lot of the stuff I have tried from Huda that has been passed on to me has been very like one-hit wondery. I will try it once and I will like it enough and then I will never reach for it again. I don't know. I feel like that I would definitely want to try some more times. Let's move on to concealer. What we're going to do today, we're going to try 2 different concealers. Well, we'll see. We'll see how close they are in shade. But I have 2. One I purchased, one was also sent to me from Andromeda, and I don't know how they got this one. So let's start with the one that I purchased. This is from CREAL. This is the thing, the Face Flex. This is the Face Flex in the shade, I think it's the lightest shade, shade 1. I've had people kind of like passively, since this brand came to Sephora, ask me to like talk about some things. Brand to me is not very like fleshed out yet. I think they have like a nice handful of products, but like their shade ranges are pretty crap. There's like luxury brand. I did some digging. It does appear that they are like independent, and I don't think I would have to relook at this. So I'll correct myself. I don't think there's any like private equity financial backers. So I think it is like a fully independent brand that's like selling this luxury fantasy. But I will tell you, you get 0.3 fluid ounces. And I believe this was like $58. I had credit card rewards and it was like, I think I paid only $30. Like, I don't know. I had points and rewards and like, anyway, like I didn't pay too much for that. The packaging is nice. It is glass. The container is glass. This is plastic. The lid is plastic. Yeah, I think this will work for me, but again, their shade range is pretty poor. I haven't put this on my face. I haven't even swatched it yet. And then I also have from HOURGLASS their concealer, which I think I've tried once. I think I got it when I worked at Sephora. It's in the shade 1.45 Sand. The one thing about Hourglass is that their shade ranges are also crap, but also in multiple ways, like depth and undertone. A lot of the times their stuff pulls very warm, but I don't know if this was a shade extension. I don't know if Andromeda gets PR from Hourglass, but they had this and sent it to me because they were like, I have an extra one. Let's see what we'll do because of the breakouts. I think it would be good to try to like cover redness. I have been color correcting recently, but you know what's also funny is I think this is almost gone. I probably will need to buy another one soon. I was thinking about buying the Exa color corrector that Hannah really likes next. If you green color correct, let me know your favorites down below. I don't want it to be a primer. I do want it to be more like of a concealer wand kind of situation. We'll put CREAL on my under eye, and then we will also put it here. I'm so bad at getting like all of the eyeliner out of my waterline, but I just feel like I look cool. Okay, so here's what the applicator of the CREAL. It's a very short wand, which I think is pretty uncommon. Like I said, there's 0.3 in this packaging, and then there's 0.2 in the Hourglass. So they get a little more, it seems, than a regular concealer. And this does feel like it's boasted as both concealer and an all-over face complexion. So I'm going to do a dot here, and then I'm going to do like a dot there just to see how much coverage we end up getting. Whoa, I think that's a pretty good match. It might be like a little bit yellow for me. It's very pretty. It looks fabulous. Formula's pretty thin feeling and blended out very easily, but it like looks like skin when you like get up close, which is pretty impressive. So we'll see. It doesn't look like it's wanting to crease right away. So that's great. Do I have glitter on my face already? Of course I do. Okay, and I'm just gonna blend out here on the redness on the front part of my face. Wow, a little of this really goes a long way. I wouldn't really need to put a foundation product on. And that was just 2 dots of it. So that's quite good. I'm going to use another face product that I do want to talk to you about. I featured in a short, but I haven't featured it in a video. And there's a couple of things that I have featured in shorts, but not on video. If you don't watch my short form content, I'm posting it on YouTube too, so you don't have to follow me on Instagram. I'm posting it on Reels. I'm posting it on YouTube Shorts. I'm kind of taking an opportunity because I have a lot more product than usual coming in. I don't want to just make a bunch of new makeup videos as well. Like that's not my journey. Like that's not what I would like to do. So I'm kind of trying to feature like kind of some first impression content in short form, as well as like fun stuff. So just make sure you're checking that if you see something that like doesn't get featured fully here. I plan on like using all aspects of content creation to talk about that stuff. I will do like roundups, like, you know, when I'm making decisions on things or and like kind of like final reviews that will end up in like regular long form content. But as far as like getting some early thoughts out in case you like really need an early thought out, that's where I would check if you want to see that. Spoiler, I guess, kind of for like what's coming up for the complexion product. I like this. This looks great. I like really like the way it's laying on my skin. It's really scary sometimes when you get close up, but it's very seamless with my skin. So I'm very into that. Very into that. Let's see how Hourglass does. I'm not really sure of the cover. This has a pretty big applicator, which I don't love. I understand that some people really love concealer more than I do, but I really like to have control. And I find that bigger applicators give me very little control. Sometimes the applicators are so big that I will end up just rubbing the applicator on here and then picking up my concealer from there. Let's see how this blends out. Okay, I mean, there's definitely a difference in consistency. The CREAL really like became one with the skin relatively quickly and like blended out quite far. I do feel like the Hourglass stayed pretty concentrated at where I applied it, with as far as like the coverage mostly stayed there. Of course, I was able to blend it out, and I feel like it really makes my under eye look good. The formula is a lot thicker, which that does make me nervous. I don't tend to love a thick concealer formula because they tend to be the kinds of formulas that get stuck in that crease under my eye. You know, I was watching short form. I've now been watching more beauty short form content, and I watched this person be like, if your concealer is creasing, it's your application's fault, which I think that there is to an extent. Like, I think a lot of people apply too much concealer, but like, you see how much concealer I put on my eye, and I still sometimes have creasing. But this person like put down the concealer, powdered, then put more concealer, and then like did like, it was like this whole concealer routine, which I think is great if you are like trying to look perfect for a night out. And like, I think for most people, there was a lot of points where they were like, don't touch it for a couple of minutes, do some other parts of your makeup. And I was like, I just think that a lot of people That's like, I think the concealer can be also beautiful and high performing enough to not crease under my eye, wear the way I want it to without me having to do a million things. Of course, I think you should like work a little bit to make your makeup work. If it doesn't work right away, like try some other things. But I think for most people, like taking a terrible concealer, but also if you do all those steps, it does end up working for you. Like I think there's a line to be drawn with like how much work you need to put in to a product to make it look really good on your skin. Anyway, I'm gonna blend this out. You just see how like thick it is. I just feel like the CREAL like just wasn't super thick. It is not like looking thick on my skin, and I would say that honestly that I like the coverage of the CREAL, but I do feel like that this covers maybe a little bit more than this does. But they're both covering the redness quite well. And I think they both look really skin-like. This concealer has been out for some time. Like, I feel like this concealer originally launched, I don't know, like 2017. I'll fact check when this concealer launched. It just feels like an old concealer formula. Whereas a lot of the concealers I've been enjoying now, like the Westman Atelier, the CREAL, the Victoria Beckham one, those concealers feel like very modern, like thin, good coverage, make your skin look really good. Not that this is not making my skin look good. I think this obviously was an improvement on what my skin looked like before, like less redness, definitely covered. My under eye looks more awake. You know, it's doing all of the things that a concealer should do. This formula just feels a little more modern than the one from Hourglass. They're both good. I'll definitely keep playing with both of them. I wonder if I would like the Hourglass all over the face as a foundation, or like mixed in with something to thin it out a little bit. That might also be a helpful thing to attempt. Like both of them, I think I would say I'm more into the CREAL. It's feeling very Victoria Beckham. I would also say like I'm really enjoying the Westman Atelier concealer. It's giving similar energy. The Westman Atelier does set down kind of quickly. This doesn't seem to do that. Like I feel like I had plenty of time to work it out. But the Westman Atelier is kind of like, it wants to set as soon as you put it on. But I think that was a selling point when the product came out. It did like say it was self-setting. Okay, let's talk about the next product. And okay, this product might be the product that further broke me out. I'm not 100% sure, and I don't want to say that, and I don't feel uncomfortable putting it on my face. It was the last thing I was testing on my face before my face really freaked out. I mean, okay, I think I've said this before, but I do think the red light therapy really like got something going. This is also a time of life where at my age, where like hormones start to change. So I think there could be like a number of factors. I think like the red light therapy just kickstarted it. I also, in retrospect, probably shouldn't have done the red light therapy every day for 10 minutes, having not done it. I should have eased my way into it because I did think about using it again to try to get this all moved off. I'm going to try, like I said, I'm going to try adapalene first. And like I said, I'm also not going to not use the red light therapy mask again. I just am like irritated, like something happened, but like there's definitely things in the future, ways in the future that I think the red light therapy is going to be helpful and not harmful like it felt like it was being when I was using it. This was like the last piece of makeup that I put on my face before, and like obviously my face still hasn't really fully recovered, but you'll also notice that all of the breakout is in my beard area. I've been doing a really good job like cleansing in there, you know, making sure I've been using hypochlorous acid. I mean, I've been really trying. But okay, so if you watched my reel or my YouTube short where I tried this for the first time, I used a brush and I was like, it actually looked crazy on me. Like, I will say it looked crazy on me, but off camera, I have tried it a couple other times. I tried it with a sponge and I also tried applying it with my fingers. In both of those applications, I thought it looked a lot better than applying it with a brush. I do prefer to apply my complexion products with a brush. That's going to be a deal breaker for me. It might not be a deal breaker for you. Obviously, this is just kind of like, I'm still like, feel like I'm early days with the Milk makeup. I do want to try it with a brush again. I think I definitely had too much product the first time I tried it. I still don't think this will end up being a favorite of mine because it feels like something I'm going to have to baby and apply specific ways. There are ways to apply it I have found that look really beautiful, but it's not, it doesn't feel like it's going to be a fave to me. I'm going to load up a brush on my mixing palette down here and I'm going to like really work it into the brush. Like, I don't know, whenever I did it in my short, I feel like it looked like it was just like sitting on my skin. But when I used my hand, it did wear like a skin tint when I used my fingers to blend it in. It does seem to like really need to be like pressed in to the skin, which is I think there are a lot of formulas like that. I just don't think I use a lot of formulas like that. There are a lot of other content creators I watch who apply their complexion product. This is also this gel, the Milk Makeup Gel Tint I have in the shade 1. There are a lot of content creators I follow who, whenever they put on a complexion product, they always finish with a sponge to pick up excess product. To me, that seems like a step that shouldn't be necessary, but you can already tell based on how it's applying. Like, it was definitely like I applied too much, and I wasn't trying to, in my short, apply too much to be nefarious. I applied what I thought was the correct amount, but this is like looking a lot better than it did. However, I do think I liked the way that this side of my face looked more when it was just the concealer, and that's not even like a coverage thing. There's this like glycerin-y finish that gets applied whenever you use this product. It's like, to me, it's like, it makes your skin look like it's wet without actually being wet, which is like cool, maybe. But like, I don't like the way that that looks. And another product that reminds me a lot of the finish that this is giving, it's a product that I didn't love, but a lot of people do, which makes me think that this is why a lot of people like this product. The Makeup by Mario, the cream bronzer in a pan, like the skin enhancer product. I don't like the way it made my skin look, and it was like, you know, being described as like a skin enhancer. And I was like, I don't know, my skin does not look enhanced. And it has like a similar finish to that. Like, to the touch, it's not like sticky or wet feeling once it sits on your skin. I don't know, I think I might have just lifted a little of it, but that's okay. I'm not really that concerned. I did use up the little blob I had. I'm going to apply a little bit more. So the key here, if you have this product and you haven't figured out how to work it with a brush, I'll just show you what I'm doing. So like, that's the blob. I already picked up some, and I'm just like literally moving around the palette and like pushing it into the brush. And I feel like that's applying really well. I have no complaints about the way it's applying, or, you know, besides the finish, the way it's looking at my skin. I just don't like this artificial glow of a finish. It's like a very, very, very subdued version of the Maison Margiela Pat McGrath finish. Like, it just kind of looks like glossy skin. It's still looking like more coverage than I would want it to. And I think it really is coming down to finish. But as I was saying, I don't know, like, it doesn't feel like a super hydrating complexion product. It doesn't feel dehydrating either, but I guess if you have dry skin and you're mostly worried about the appearance of your skin looking dry, then I think perhaps that might be why people with dry skin are liking this finish. It's just, I don't know, I'm not loving it. And like, I have been one to love, you know, a more glowy finish, but there's just something about this version of it that I'm just like not super loving. I think I would have preferred putting the CREAL all over my face, or even the Hourglass concealer. That's definitely more coverage than the skin tint. That's like definitely foundation coverage. When I was applying it with my fingers, it definitely didn't cover as much as it does whenever there's just something about like working it into the skin. Let's move on to contour. And I do have a new product. I placed an order at Phytosurgence to re-up on this because this is really helpful when my skin has gone out of whack. This is the Phytosurgence Regenerative Facial Oil. They released some new blush shades, and I got the shade Scorch, which you guys are going to be like, why'd you pick that one? I don't know. There was something about it. There's something about it swatched that was really appealing to me. They sent this in my package. It's the shade Wisp, which we might be using for blush today. You may have remembered that I said we're going to contour. Well, I also picked up this. This is their blush in Dust, which it's basically meant to be used as a mix-in. So I've seen them do this a couple of times, and they've mixed Dust with their bronzers to make like a contour shade. That's what I think I want to do today. I pulled out a product that we will also use for bronzer on top of it. And it's a product from Vieve that the Vieve stuff I'm still very early days in, but I figured we could feature at least one of them on the channel early. And so this is what I picked. This is the cream bronzer in the shade Light. And my impression of this so far is that it's a pretty bronzer, but I don't love the color. But maybe mixing it with Dust will make a pretty contour color. So I'm just going to use the same mixing palette that I've been using for everything. And I'm just going to get like the smallest bit of Dust here. So like, I really just kind of really dipped in there very quick. I'm going to get, the first time I went into this bronzer, I went in so deep. I don't need that much. So I'm going to get about the same amount as I did of the bronzer, kind of doing like a half and half of Dust. So there they are, both on my palette. I'm gonna mix them together and we'll see what we end up with. That's the color that it came out. I think that's a pretty good contour shade. So let's see how it looks on the face. Those formulas play together very well, I feel, but it is actually incredibly subtle, which I do like as far as a contour color to be on me. But yeah, it creates something really beautiful. I don't even know if you're going to be able to, like, if it's reading on camera. It's just the softest little contour. Gorgeous. Okay, cool. And then I am gonna actually, for bronzer, just use the Vieve again. And then I'll kind of tell you where I'm at with it. But yeah, dust was very good to mix in. Let me swatch dust for you. I mean, it's like gonna look like what it looks like in the pan. That's dust by itself. It's like an elephant gray. Like, I think that could work as a contour, but I think it looks a little too blue. Like, I think it's definitely like something to use as a mixer. Because I haven't decided if I'm keeping the Vieve bronzer yet, like I haven't decided, trying not to like get facial hair and my grossness in there before I potentially pass it on to someone. But yeah, I'm just picking this up off the mixing palette. I like it better this time. I've only worn it the one time. My first impressions of Vieve is already up for channel members and patrons, but the final review will be made public for everyone. If you happen to be a member or a patron, you'll remember that I didn't really like the color of this. I think I just applied too much of it. In a more restrained application like I did today, I think it looks really beautiful. I like the formula a lot. I don't know. You know, I kind of want the formula to feel more remarkable than it has been feeling, but I like it so far, and I like this is the best it's looked. For blush, we will use Wisp today because it's beautiful. That shade right there. Look at that. Gorgeous. I think this is going to be very similar to the colors I want to put on my eyes today. So my favorite blush brush doesn't fit into this phytosurgence container, so I'm gonna also take some of that out on my mixing palette. You know what's so funny is like whenever I was reviewing that Auric palette, I was like, I'm not a mixing palette girl. And now I'm like out here. It's funny because like I still don't like that palette, but like I think it did deep down unlock something for me. I do have blush brushes that are small enough to fit in there. It's just they're like not my favorite. So let's apply Wisp. It's funny because I always feel like Wisp online, as I've seen it on other people, looks very cool. On me, it's kind of like a warm lavender. It's kind of like the vibe that I get from it. It is really pretty and I really like it. Should at some point try mixing it. This is the purple that I want. I've worn this once already. I wore it last night for the first time. I was like, noted. That looks a little bit warmer than I thought. But like I said, we will try mixing it with dust at some point, and I think that will, once we solve a problem, just turn it into the color, I guess, that I thought it was. But also, I may be confusing it with moments where Jason from Phytosurgence was mixing it with dust. Incredible, gorgeous, stunning. A little more than I wanted. I'm gonna apply a little bit of leftover skin tint. I just want it a little bit further away from my eye, which not always the case, but I don't want it all the way in my eye. Next, we're going to move on to this Morphe powder, which I think officially I very much like. I still feel like I haven't figured out like final thoughts on it yet. I do like it for what it is, but I do think it is a better finishing powder. It's so funny. I've mentioned this before, and I was mentioning it in my last couple of videos that I have the old formula of the Givenchy powder. I've been using it a lot. Such a shame I fell in love with it. I just think that my skin, my oily skin, needs another powder to go down first for this to be effective as far as combating oil. In my routine, if you're familiar with my routine, this would be like used where I use the Chantecaille Perfect Blur. Like after I powdered my face, just like pushing it into the skin to add a little bit of blur. Like I think this is far more blurring than the primer from Huda that we used earlier. For highlight, I just realized I think there's a highlighter that I haven't tried yet. Danny also sent me this. This is the Glint by Vitavive in the shade 2 Milky Moon. I don't know anything about this brand. This seems really balmy. So that's it there. There's a lot of Korean writing on it, so I think this might be oh, it's made in Korea. this might be a Korean brand. Sometimes the Korean brands are still in English. There's like still a lot of English. I don't know. I don't think I want something that balmy. I think I want a powder. That's just not the kind of makeup I have on so far on my face. Like, I'm not planning on doing like an easy breezy eye look. I was doing a one and done eyeshadow. That's when I would use something like that. And I would also be using a foundation with different, it would be like a whole thing. It wouldn't look like this at all so far. Anyway, okay, let's see. What's in my everyday makeup drawer? I'm going to use the Surratt Porch Lumiere in Diamante. I was like, hello? This is one of my favorite products and I like simply couldn't remember. It looks so good on top of a wisp. Sometimes with this particular highlighter, I have a hard time telling if it works better on cool tones or warm tones. I think it does work better on cool tones or neutral tones. I think if the look is too warm, this doesn't tend to work. But oh, look at the, it's gorgeous. God, I think that's, and this is such a shame. I think this is the most damage I've ever done on a stick highlight. It's like, it feels like I've barely gotten into it. Let's move on to eyeshadow. So I'll keep you up close for it. I wanted to feature this on my channel, but I did do a short. I've used this a handful of times. I actually do have thoughts. I'll put swatches up for you right now. So this palette is really gorgeous. It seems like something that would be like so up my alley. And I think in theory it is more than it is in practice. And I'll tell you why. In my opinion, I think we're missing some mid-tone browns. Now, you might be saying like, Tom, wouldn't you consider those to be mid-tones? On the eye, they read more like transition shades on me. And like, these are the kind of eyeshadow colors that I would use to like set eyeshadow primer. The jump whenever I'm blending these to blending in maybe one of these deeper shades just feels like a really big jump. Now, what I have been doing to combat that, I will mix two shades together on the brush. I'll just like dip into both. And like, that's what I will use to make a crease shade. But I just feel like there's, for me, like if I'm building a smoky eye, like I tend to like to do transition, crease, really something deep on the outer corner with like maybe a couple shimmers on the eye. I feel like I'm like missing that in between. Not only that, I find these like reddish colors to be, there's something about them. I don't think that they work the best with the rest of the colors, but that's like anytime I see green next to red, I'm always like, I don't really know what I'm doing. However, I do really love this shade right here. The shade is Smolder. I mean, it's perfect for a smoky eye. I did a smoky eye with this. Well, I did like a very intense black sparkly smoky eye, and I just used these two shades with some other shades to blend out the edges. Perfect. Perfect. I really haven't gotten into these yet, but I really actually wanted to focus on these more warmer tone colors to build my eye look today, which is like so unlike me. And these have like a little bit of purple in them too, so I think they will work well with wisp. And I like all of the shimmers, but I'm particularly fond of the shade Naked Eye. Because of course, it's like all of my other favorite eyeshadow shades. Nearly Natural is really beautiful as well. I've used that a few times. I like the shade Sultry as well. I think I've used Stripped Back, but I can't remember. Can't remember what I used that for in particular. Okay, so I'm going to use the NARS Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base to get started. Oh, my eyes are stained. I used a new eyeshadow palette last night from Bella Beauté Bar. They relaunched their Smoky Glam palette. And I talked a little bit about it on Instagram. Do you want a dedicated Smoky Glam palette to make comparisons, etc.? Or do you want me to just like feature it and then talk briefly about it? That launches soon. You let me know in the comments. I just feel like I haven't gotten this time in its sun. Like, I don't think I've featured it on my channel yet. And this was sent to me in PR. I want to try to feature it as much as I can. Still be honest about it, but like feature it more than in one short. So I'm going to go into their shade Pure, which is just like the lightest cream shade. I'm going to set my base with that, which I think I really do need today considering my eye is stained pink. I don't mind when a vibrant color stains my eyes. But like, I don't think I've used a color that's really stained my eyes like that in a while. The funny part is, the kicker is, it's my favorite shade in the eyeshadow palette. It's this crazy shade. I forget what the name it is off my top of my head, but it was so pretty. I used it on my lid in the short. Oh, it's also on my Instagram. It's on my most recent Instagram post. It's like the beautiful, like pink, purple, lavender shade on the most of my lid. I love that shade. So I'm still new to Glaminatrix's eyeshadow formula. I do prefer their shimmers to their mattes, which is kind of like par for the course I have found when it comes to indie brands. Bella Beauté Bar is quite the exception. Like, I like really like their mattes. I think I'll start with Solace. And I'm going to use that as a bit of a transition. I have found that I like the mattes with Glaminatrix. I don't think they're my favorite. They're so okay. Like, I guess that's like the way, like, I don't feel that they are bad and I don't feel they are good. I feel like whenever you are buying a Glaminatrix palette, or in my experience, the shimmers are the standout star. I have no complaints about the mattes. I have been able to make them work and do everything I've wanted to do with them. They just like, they don't feel like a Viseart shadow or a HUDA shadow or a Bella Beauté bar shadow where it's just like doing everything I want it to and maybe more. Like it's just like, I don't know, like this, like they're perfectly right down the middle, fine eyeshadows. Again, like with a lot of indie brands, it's like it really comes down to what you're looking for out of the shimmer. So as you can see, the shade is showing up. It's a very soft shade. It's like this very light, like cream lavender shade. And so it is starting to sculpt. It's just very, very subtle. Now I'm going to go into the shade Untouched. I feel so untouched right now. Oh, Glaminatrix, you are an Australian brand. Do you like the Veronicas? Is Untouched named after the Veronica song? I feel like that didn't really happen in America. Do you guys watch Todd in the Shadows? Do any of you watch Todd in the Shadows? He, a couple months ago, did a video on Untouched by the Veronicas. And he was like, I don't think this was a hit here. But he's always really good about giving context about like why he might have been, people have been requesting certain songs for him to do. And I think what he learned is that like gay people love Untouched. But I also think if you are my age and you watched the N, like the nighttime version of Noggin, where they showed Degrassi in the US, you'll know Untouched because I feel like they played it on like during commercial breaks on there all the time. I don't know. I feel like that era of television really gave credence to the Veronicas. Like that's how I know who they are. This is the shade Untouched. And this is why I'm like, it's sometimes a little hard to tell like what the color is going to be. Cause like this ends up being like more of like a purple. Like there is some of that redness in there, but I would say it's like more of like a burgundy that like ends up reading more purple on my lids than it does read as a burgundy, like a light burgundy. Kind of like a thing that's been happening with another eyeshadow palette. I also have the Just a Taste palette. And I feel very similar to it where I'm like dipping into shadows and I think they're going to be like one thing and then I put them on my eyes and they're not. And most of the time when it comes to like a duochrome shimmer, I can handle that. It is weird when it's a matte that reads differently on my eyes. Like, I don't know. I just feel like when you look at this shade in here and then you like look at my eye, like that looks much more like a red brown. And like what I have on my eye doesn't feel like it looks like a red brown. It's just interesting. It's interesting because I feel like they try to help you by like the layout of the palette where it's like, if you're doing a 2-shadow look, use this as your matte, use this as your shimmer, which I, smart, like helpful for sure. But I just don't know that, because I've done it a couple times now where I've used Nearly Natural in conjunction with this shade and they do look like they're going to go together. I just don't think they go together as well. Like right now, if I were to pick a shimmer, I would probably pick Stripped Back because there's a little bit of a purple in it. And I just feel like my eyes are a little bit more purple than they are like this copper color in here. Hopefully that makes sense. Also, that might not have been the intent with the layout of the palette. That's just how I was reading into it. I was talking about this in a video not that long ago. It might have been the last video I applied makeup in. I tend to like my eyeshadows either very, very firmly pressed or very, very loosely pressed. Whenever they like live in that in between, that's whenever I find that I feel less passion for an eyeshadow. And these, I think, are pressed in that like medium press. And I don't really know how to describe it beyond that. There's like a little bit of kick up with these, but not a ton, which is totally fine. That was Untouched blended out on my eyes. So do you see how like that's actually kind of fairly light? Now we're going to go into Naturally, which this does show up a little more red. But in my head, when I'm looking at the palette, I was like, oh, those look like they would play really well together. It's not that they don't, but they're not like this. This almost looks to me to be like a deeper version of that. And it doesn't end up being that way. What if we learned in this video that Tom's colorblind? It doesn't feel out of the realm of the possibility at this point. I'm just going to like build it up a little bit right here. And wing it out a little bit. if there was like colors like almost as if they added an additional row of just like these colors in a more mid-tone, because I feel like I'm just using a lot of control to make this not go super deep. This is all sounding very critical. I'm just like telling you my experience of it. I've enjoyed using this palette every time I've used it, so it's not for lack of enjoyment. It's just I'm telling you what I'm noticing. And that doesn't have to inherently be bad, but it might help you learn, based on your knowledge of my preferences of eyeshadow, what this experience might be like if you were to buy this palette and help inform your decision. I think that another important thing that maybe I also misunderstood before I had this in my hands, I'm just touching up a little bit. I feel like I'm already looking a little bit shiny. This is why I feel like I need another setting powder underneath the Morphe one. When they say nearly natural, they really mean that, because it's like, I would say like the most common color in here, like that you would find in other shadows, are like the cream and then this brown. There's like well, maybe also black, depending on what kind of palette you're using. All the other shades in here are not your like regular neutral browns. You might consider these to be your regular neutral browns, but I also feel like they read more as like a mauve as opposed to being like ruddy. I don't know. I just feel like this looks purple to me. And then you also have like these yucky colors down here. So if you were looking for like a neutral palette specifically, I don't know that you would like this that much. If you are someone who likes color and texture and yucky kind of vibes, but you want something that's a little more wearable on the day-to-day, I think this would be perfect for that customer. Not someone who's like, or if you're someone who wears a lot of neutrals and you're like, want to wear more color and texture, this might be a good starting point, because it's like not too far from what you're familiar. That's like the vibe of this palette. I think I expected to really like fall head over heels in love with this palette, and that just like isn't what has happened. I have enjoyed my time with it so far, but I didn't put it on my eyes. I haven't put it on my eyes so many times and thought immediately like, that's my eyeshadow palette, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to use a little of the Fair&A Pixie Epoxy, and I'm going to put the shade Stripped Back, this right here, all over my lid. Really pretty. Not like the most sparkly eyeshadow. It definitely feels more like a satin metallic. Very pretty though, but what I'm going to do is then go into the shade Naked Eye, which is like a wet look topper, and I'm going to take a fluffy brush and I'm going to sweep that on top of the shimmer we already put down. We'll zoom in for Sparkle Cam after I do the other eye. So pretty. So pretty. Let's add some blur. Oh, gorge. I'll put on Ash from Victoria Beckham as liner. I'll put on mascara, and then we will be right back. This is a lip liner from Trixie Cosmetics in the shade Cherry Pick. I love this color lip liner. I've used it for a couple different lip looks, and I've just been so into it. And like I said in a short, maybe I said it on here, they sent me two. This one was received in PR. I bought one for that Trixie video, and then they sent me two. The two that they sent me are much creamier and dreamier and less weird than the one that I originally bought texture-wise. They're still a little sticky, but they're easier to blend than that one was. So I don't know what was going on with that one. And look at that color. And then I'm going to use Bewitched from NARS. This is like a new lipstick, and I haven't really like worn it a ton on my lips. So I think it will work really well and blend really well with this lip liner. I was wrong. That didn't work. Let's start over. It's starting to feel like that lip swatch video, isn't it? Is anyone triggered? I am. Let's reassess the lip. Let's go with a nude lip. We'll stay in the Trixie realm. So for lip liner, I will be using Eden. This one was sent in PR. let's put the lipstick in Eden on. I wanted to show you this again because I talked about it in the lipstick video. This is the Cherry Pick shade, and here is the shade Eden. I was talking about how this presses up against the side of the bullet. I don't know if it's because it's just like a lighter shade. This is the matte formula, but I also have Jar Honey in the matte formula, and it isn't hitting the side of the bullet. I don't know. I have kind of found with bullet lipsticks so far in my makeup journey, lighter shades tend to be softer physically, and the darker shades hold up better in the bullets. That's the case for the Merit lipsticks as well. The darker shades I've had have worked out better, held on longer than the lighter shades. So I don't know if that's just something, but I just wanted to make you aware that this is what Eden looks like. Do we want to add a gloss? Let's try to keep using this. This is the Metal Lip Lock from Isamaya. They sent this to me in PR forever ago, it feels now. I have kind of come around to, if I'm using a lip gloss as a topper, to not use the actual applicator and use a disposable one. This doesn't really matter because this one's almost used up. I think it just needed a little shine. I love this thing. Despite all of my fight, I really love the lip lock from Isamaya. I should buy more. I mean, I already have a backup of that one, but there's just something about it. There's something so special about it. And I do have setting spray. Again, from Andromeda. This is the Easy Bake setting spray. This is what it looks like. So I do imagine this will be mattifying. It does say to shake well. Wait, let's see. Let's read the instructions. Directions. Shake bottle well to mix formula. Yeah, this is going to mattify. 8 to 10 inches from face. With eyes and mouth closed. Spray generously for buildable blur. The more you use, the more you blur. Okay. You know what I don't have yet? A blurring setting spray. Okay. Let's see. Say what you want about Huda's packaging and other things. This is sick. This matte black packaging is sick as fuck. This is lit. There's a little turn to lock it. That's sick. I mean, minus the font that they've decided that they were going to use. Okay. The sprayer on that was very nice. It wasn't very aggressive. I was concerned that it was going to feel like the old MAC sprayer that no one liked. I do have a couple blobs on my face, but that might be because I didn't really prime the sprayer. It's not mattifying. I was kind of expecting it to mattify, considering it's like a blur. I just feel like those two things tend to go hand in hand. There are a couple spots on my face where it just seems to be like not wanting to. Oh, that's just sparkle from my eyes. I do think it blurred a little bit. I think if you look at my forehead, I'll zoom you in. If you look at my forehead, like I do think that side looks a little more blurred than this side. Especially I think you could tell like from here to here. But that also might just be like mattifying. How did this glitter go all over my face? Like, when did that happen? Let's go again. Let's do it again on this side. You know how sometimes when you have a sprayer that has something in it that could potentially clog the sprayer, like the bottom portion of the sprayer is spraying out gloops, but everything above that feels very smooth and fine. I think it is doing what it promised. I think it is blurring. It's not a tight feeling. It's definitely more comfortable than the one from Urban Decay, both the All-Nighter and the Ultra Matte. I feel like there's normally a little bit of stiffening that you feel, but I don't feel like when I move my face that there's any like tightening happening. I feel like it's kept the effect of all the makeup underneath. It hasn't made it look more wet or more matte. I feel like my makeup looks the same except just more airbrushed. This might be my first Huda product I'm like actually very into. Like I'm actually quite into this so far. I've been much more into setting sprays recently. I wonder if it's good for longevity or if it's just like a finishing spray. I take it back. It is not a very good sprayer. Let's take a look at it versus the MAC Fix Plus. Because you can see, like, just like there are certain parts of, there's just droplets. It's not like, you know, years ago, again, I've used this point of reference and I don't even know if people, like, when everyone got that matte setting spray and the matte component, because people weren't mixing it well enough before they sprayed their face. It's not like there's powder or anything in there that's like sticking and making my face look different. It's just staying wet longer. Yeah. Yeah, I'm quite into that. Okay, so let's see like what the claims are. This says setting spray. I will say I only did one pass on this and you can tell the difference in the sides. But I also feel like in a very real way, there's like no way in the real world where I'm like doing this twice before I go somewhere. Maybe I will, because, you know, sometimes I do things that are just like the most extra. Hello, sweet thing that I wasn't expecting. Okay. Okay. I'm like very into that. Here's the Huda. Kind of aggressive. Let's see. And then here's the MAC Fix Plus. Do you see that? That's like very different. Long, continuous spray, no droplets. So I don't know. I'm sure they'll get complaints about that. And I am concerned since that whatever the blurring agent is in here is something that can like clog the pores. But I did want to point out, because it says on the side here, there is rice starch niacinamide, which I know a lot of people are not sensitive to niacinamide and hate whenever it's in other things. Totally get that. Alcohol-free, fragrance-free. Let's ease back into things, Tom. No, let's just jump full force into a video that's could take you 2 hours to film. Let's run through everything again. And we'll have to go quickly. We're all here, because you came on this video. So here's like first impressions, final thoughts. Easy Blur Primer. That was like fine. It's definitely something I'll try again, but overall, not like the thing that I'm most excited about, not the thing that I'm like gonna run back to. It'll be nice to have, especially if I'm trying to like test some things and like, I want to try it with a different primer, because I am basically down to just the Victoria Beckham primer as my like sole primer. I have the Merit one, but I've been using it as a hand moisturizer, you know, multifaceted. But yeah, it's fine. I like right now not feeling like something I would go out of my way to purchase. I did get it close to my eyes whenever I was doing my mascara. I'm just gonna double check and then I'll zoom you in and I'll show you. So whenever I was doing my mascara, the one on the Hourglass side just looks a little bit thicker and heavier, and I do think it got more caught in the crease, but both are performing quite well. I do think I prefer the CREAL, unfortunately, for all of us. Well, mostly for me. I guess for you too. Do you see? CREAL's on the side, Hourglass. So I think from the front relaxed, both look really good. It's just kind of like when you get up close and you like squint whenever I was like doing my mascara, just like it looks a little more caught in this one, but I think both are performing beautifully. I like the texture of the CREAL better to the Hourglass one, but both are performing very well. I'm more than happy to like keep playing with both of them. How exciting. You know, a year ago I was like, who cares about concealer? And now I'm like, okay, there are 3 concealers that I think are primo products. If you're looking for one, I can easily recommend them to you. Okay, the gel tint from Milk. Okay, here's the thing about Milk. I'm rooting for Milk because they are one brand who are standing up for trans people now, in this time, in the year of our Lord, 2025. They're out here standing up for the LGBTQ community. However, I have not in a very long time met a Milk product that I have enjoyed. And this isn't bad. This took a little bit of a learning curve for me. Definitely was the case of using too much in that original short. Where I was trying it for the very first time. And also I have since applied it with a sponge. I have since applied it with my fingers, and it looks a little more like this. There's a lot more natural coverage the less you use, and if you're using your fingers or a sponge, you get a lot less product on the face. You get a lot less of that glycerin-y finish. I don't know the finish of it, but I do think my skin, I think with everything else that I put on my face, it all came together. It's like a finish that I like. I think everything's fine. So it's like totally fine. I still think it's a foundation and not really a skin tint. I don't love the finish of it. So like that's just kind of like where I'm landing with that. Dust from Phytosurgence. I'm excited to continue playing with this. I think this can be very handy. And I have some other things that I would really like to mix this with. Like imagine mixing this with, do you see my vision? Were you here 2 years ago when I was trying to find a pink gray blush? Like this is pretty close already, but putting it, see the vision? I'm excited. I'm excited to have this as a tool. It's like a color corrector, essentially. I feel like people who have neutral undertones and things pull warm on them, this could be a game changer. Because like a lot of people will color correct their foundations with like a peach color corrector or a pink color corrector, but we don't have gray. I don't have gray, and I think we may have needed it this whole time. The Vieve bronzer, very pretty. Like I don't have fully formed thoughts on this. I also feel like I was kind of zooming past it whenever I was trying it today, but I do really like the way it looked. I like the finish of this. I like the way it lays on the skin. Blends seamlessly. It looks so natural on the skin. It's just the undertone of this I'm not convinced on, but again, like I said, I think I applied too much of this the first time I used it in my first impressions video. That's where I'm at with that. And then Wisp, baby. What a beautiful color. What a beautiful color. I mean, I already love this formula. I've had Phytosurgence blushes for the last, goodness gracious, 3 years. Is that how long I've been using Phytosurgence? So very into that. The Morphe powder, I really do love. I just think people with drier skin would use this as a setting powder. People who have oily skin, you probably need to set your skin and use this as a finishing powder as opposed to a setting powder. I just used this as a setting powder today. As you saw, everything started to look a little shiny and wet before I was even done doing my makeup, and I had to redo it. But I'm more than willing to like touch up and make things look pretty, and it touches up well. It doesn't look powdery. But yeah, I think this is a beautiful, beautiful finishing powder. If you wanted to try a finishing powder and you didn't want to like buy the Chantecaille one that I'm always using, I would probably just shift to this one. I really do love my Chantecaille Perfect Blur finishing powder. You know that I've been working on this one forever. I love it so much, but like this is $16 for now. I just think it's great. It's really great. Let's talk about the eyeshadow palette. I felt towards the end of my conversation about this that it was coming out very negative, and it's not. I really like this palette. I really do. I just think it requires more finessing than I was expecting. And when I say finessing, just kind of like knowing what the colors will look like. This is a purple mauve eye look. I wouldn't say that those look like mauves in the pan, but they went really well with this purple. And then also with this silver, but they look really warm in the pan. But on my eyes, every time I've applied them, they have had this purple look to them. And I haven't really gotten to the greens of it all yet, but I was just watching Kim. They were using an About Face eye paint in a green shade, and they were talking about how the shade green makes them feel dysphoric when they put it on their eyes. I feel very similarly. There's a video of mine from a while ago where I like did a green eye look, and I was like, I'm stressed. I don't like the way that this looks on me. So I haven't really delved into these quite yet. I will, because I want to play with them. I want to give the whole palette a shot. I also will say I really love the shimmers on the top row, and I love these two shimmers and this shimmer. These two shimmers right here I'm like not as obsessed with. Like I said, I do think there either needs to be like an extra row to kind of like bridge the gap between the lightness of these mattes and the darkness of these mattes. Again, that's like part of finessing. Not a problem. You mix and match. I use those Hindash palettes, and like I've come accustomed to like making things happen because I like really like the Hindash palettes, and that kind of is what those encourage you to do. So like I can definitely do it. Feels a little less beginner friendly. It has the appearance of something that like, oh, if you've never done makeup before, there's no way to screw this up. I think there is a way to maybe screw up a look with this. So that's where I'm coming at. That's like my criticism of it, but I really love it. I love the look. I mean, I love this. I love this look. And their matte formula is good. It's just not my favorite matte formula, but their shimmers are just incredible. Especially this. I'm going to swatch it for you, even though I haven't been swatching things. I think this is a new formula to them. It's what I've been hearing. Pretty. She ain't pretty. Look at that. This is what I wanted Onyx from Victoria Beckham to be. That's what I wanted it to be. It's beautiful, full of sparkle, incredible. So into that. The second you get out of practice of filming, it just all goes out the window. Thank you, Glaminatrix, for sending this my way. I really have been enjoying playing with it. And also like this packaging, stunning. I have really come around to the Trixie lip liners. I didn't like them at first, but I really like this. And it's also like the perfect nude lip liner for me. Like it's like kind of an undetectable lip liner. And then also I really like Eden, a very lovely nude. I mean, I would prefer a more desaturated color, but it's kind of like pinky, but still very beautiful. I still think it reads as a really pretty nude on me. And then of course I topped it with the lip lock in metal. Look at it. Guys, hey guys. The child, he like loves, he like right now, he's always like, hey guys. And then finally, and oddly, product I'm most excited about walking away from this, the Easy Bake Setting Spray from Huda Beauty. And it was not scented. Both these products were unscented. Like my makeup looked good before I did this, but I do think this like added to the experience. I think my makeup looks incredible. I'm not really sure if it's supposed to, I'll have to read online. There's not really like claims on the box. I was like, is it supposed to last for 100 years now that I've set my face? Even if not, no, it's an incredible finishing spray. I liked it. Look at it. I just feel like my skin looks incredible. With a foundation product I'm not even that fond of. I think it really it quote unquote did something. It's definitely the thing I'm most excited to continue using. Like I'm just gonna keep it on my vanity. And then also I'm very excited. I really want to put this all over my face, the CREAL concealer. And I'm also excited about the prospect of dust. So those are the three things I'm walking away with. And if there were things that I don't like, I guess like the milk hydrogrip, but like I'm kind of becoming more indifferent to it than disliking it overall. That's it. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to keep this outro brief because I've been talking at you forever. There'll be a pinned comment. In that pinned comment is links to support very important people who need your help. Also, there will be a link to 5calls.org. They put scripts together so you can call your representatives and feel confident in talking to them about very important topics. So you can tell them what you would like them to do under these really wild circumstances we find ourselves here in the United States. If you are new to my channel and you would like to stick around, I would love to have you subscribe. This was a bunch of new makeup. Obviously, I'm getting back on the saddle after like a week or so off of filming because my skin kind of freaked out and it's been like a whole thing. But typically I love focusing on my makeup collection before talking about newness. So if you want more of that content in your feed, I would love to have you stick around. I have Patreon and channel memberships. You can check those out. If you want to see the V first impressions, that's already up. That was April's post. But there's no pressure to join Patreon or channel memberships. I'm literally just so happy that you are here in the world right now. I love you. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to follow your hoe and you'll find me. And I'll see you in a video very soon. I forgot to say go forth, tits out. So go forth, tits out.